Hello, today we are going to do two things in one video. I'm going to teach you how to thread a needle properly, and then I'm going to teach you how to sew a button onto this polo. You ready? Okay, so when you're old, you've got to use your glasses. This is our thread, our scissors, and our pin. And do not allow anyone to tell you that you cannot do this stuff and still have long nails, because you can. It's just a little challenging, but we can do it. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our thread, and a little trick, you take your thread, and if you're looking at your thread, I want you to cut it at an angle. Does that really make a difference? Yeah, it does. Now, for our purposes today, we're going to use a needle that has a big eye in it, but if you're using one that's more appropriate, you might use one with a smaller eye, and this is really going to help. So you see it's a little frayed there on the end. We're going to cut at an angle, and that makes almost like a knife. I'm going to do that one more time because it left a little bit of a hair there. Okay, so now we have a nice angle, and that will make it really easy to take the eye and put the thread right through it. Much easier than trying to put a camel through it. If you don't understand that reference, look it up. Okay, so now I'm going to take the thread, and I don't like to thread needles a lot, so I want to have a good amount, but I don't want so much that it knots on me. So I take it down, it's doubled. We do this so that we have extra reinforcement for our product. And then I'm going to cut them so they're equal. Please realize, please know that I am having a double thread. I'm not knotting it up in here. I want a nice strong thread. So I'm going to bring it down here, and then I'm going to wrap it around my finger. Yeah, this is going to be challenging because I got rhinestones. Well, no, good. I don't have rhinestones on there, but I've got a nice fake nail I'm running. So then we just roll it up and pull it down, and I've got a knot. I've got a good knot. Okay? So now I'm going to come to my garment, and let me just share that every individual should be able to sew on a button properly. Having shirts brought to me in the middle of the day when I'm supposed to be teaching. Okay, so we can see where the button was, and you can see the other one that needs to be done. Right here, we're going to take the button that we have, and when we look at the button, you can tell the right side from the wrong side because the back of the button is all nice and smooth. The front of the button has this groove in it, and we want that to come up because that is the decorative part. So we're going to take that, and if you need to, you can use pins to help hold it in place. I'm just going to line it up with the one that was there before. If I'm scared about the alignment of the buttonhole, which should always be something that we're concerned about, I can check, I can pin it in, and then go from there. But the marks are really obvious, so I'm going to hold it. Now, I like to have my buttons all match the same way so that when you've got a look, it's nice and clean. So I have this angled, and the individual that owns this shirt lost the other button. That's why we had to move it down from there to here. So see how that one is? We're nice and matched. We're matched up to the hole. We're going to take this needle, and we're going to come from the bottom, and we're going to come up, through, and push through. This is going to be challenging because it's so big. Okay, and then we're going to come back down. I keep it in the same pattern. Now, some people will say to put a pin behind there, and you can do that, that's fine, or you can use a toothpick, that will also work. What you're trying to do is leave enough of a room so that the fabric can go behind your button. So I make sure that the back of the thread is caught up, but I want to make sure that I've got room for the fabric to go under. So I don't need to be having all that stuff in my way. I just go back through. Now I went across that way. I'm going to come back up through the fabric, find my hole. I'm going to do the one that goes the other way. So that I make a little X. That's going to give me a little bit more reinforcement. And I promise if you use a smaller eye needle, it's going to make it easier for you. So how many times do I do this? I do it 3 because when I was taught always to do everything in the 3s. So I roll the fabric over my finger, or I roll the thread over my finger 3 times. I go through each side 3 times. And I make sure that I go back and forth so it makes a good design. The difference between an individual that finds craftsmanship in their sewing and a person that just throws it in there is making sure that every little detail is good. And I want it to look nice. I don't want to just survive. I'm not one of those individuals that staples their hem. And I don't want my work coming back, people saying, ooh, Mrs. Thorpe did that. So I want to make sure that my thread doesn't knot on me. So I keep track, and it was starting to get a little knotty there. So I put my finger through here, and I make sure there's no issue with the thread, because it is no fun to be almost done with a button and then have a knot. Because then you got to undo it, use your seam ripper. So what happened with this one, the second button, the one that we're sewing on right there, the individual that had the shirt didn't quite catch it in time, so he lost it. And he knows that he's not going to do the top button up, so he asked if I could move the top button down to this place where he needs to button it up, and then the bottom button's coming loose too. Evidently Gandy Ink, yes, I called them out just like that, do not have a product that keeps their buttons sewn on properly. Bless you. So we're just about done. The only reason I'm making you torture through this is I want you to see how to do the knot at the end, because this is a way we kind of lose people every now and then. So this is going to be my last stitch, and we've got a nice even design. It's attractive. No, anybody that gets that close to you to see how your stitches are, I give you permission to tell them back up off you. That's fine. Okay, now, see, it's nice and loose. My fabric can go underneath, yet it's firm. So I'm going to come back here. I slip my finger underneath to give me a little bit of a table to work on. And I'm going to go through just the back layer. I do not want this to show in the front, so I'm going to go through, so you can't see it on that side. I'm going to go through back here, make sure I haven't caught any loose fibers, make sure that my thread is nice and clean. And if you remember, I said I always do everything in 3s, so I have the thread. I make a nice loop. See, it's a nice clean loop. I bring my thread through 3 times. 1, 2, and then the last time right there. And I pull it nice and steady until it gets right down to where the fabric meets the thread. It's nice and tight. I take my scissors. I want to clip it close But no, I don't want to cut the fibers that I've sewn there. Then I re-knot it because I never like leaving my thread unknotted, and that'll save me time next time. I hope y'all have a good day.